Hey, it's Harmony, and this is ROTA, my gravity-bending puzzle platformer game that I released on Steam last month. And this is the Kickstarter demo that I released in 2018. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter was not successful, but over the years, as I developed other games, I always had ROTA in the back of my mind. So late last year, in 2021, I decided to revisit ROTA and see what I could do. The main mechanic of ROTA is changing the gravity of the player by walking around a corner. However, you can preserve your gravity by jumping over the corner. The original demo has black and white pixel art with a very minimalist style. I decided to expand upon this and make everything round vector art while keeping the black and white aesthetic. In the original demo, you interact with these blocks by punching them to change their direction. And the main interaction that came out of this is an uppercut combo, kind of like a fighting game where you punch a block up, jump in the air, and punch it over very quickly. It's a little bit finicky and it's hard to execute sometimes, so I was always thinking of something else to do to make this easier to control. I considered using diagonal blocks where you can punch them in a diagonal direction. I considered this wizard staff mechanic where you hold a block and levitate it in the air as you move it around. But then I realized, why not just hold a block with your hands and spin it around, push it and pull it back and forth and manipulate it however you like. This turned out so much easier than punching, as you don't have to worry about your box flying off into space as often, and it's much easier to control than doing this uppercut combo. With this new holding mechanic in place, I realized it opened up more possibilities than punching, as you can move blocks over blocks you've already set, rotate them around, and set up new ways to solve puzzles. Now that I solved the main mechanic of the game, it was time to address what was always bugging me about the project, the art style. It's only black and white, which leaves every puzzle looking very similar, and it was hard to differentiate between one puzzle to the next and understand how far you've progressed in the game. I always wanted to add more color and vibrance to this game. I added a grassy world with flowers and bushes and trees. I added a cobblestone level with benches, lampposts, and little fences around the trees like you'd see walking down the street, and little candles that take the same lighting system from the lampposts. A desert world filled with cacti and these little barrel cacti that have flowers on top. A snowy world with their own pine trees and even snowmen. To add even more diversity to these worlds, I created a dynamic lighting system that illuminates a circle around this point. Using a simple mix shader, it brightens the colors that pass through it. I added this point to the lampposts and candles that I previously created. Now that I have lights, I can have day and night for each of these environments, giving me a total of 8 unique aesthetics for each world. The world was finally starting to pop, with every world having a different aesthetic from the last, giving a clear sense of progression to the player. There was something missing. I wanted to make the world even more alive, so I decided to add this little spring mechanic to all these objects like flowers and trees and bushes that when you pass through them they wiggle and wobble a little bit. This spring system can be used for rotation or scaling, and I was able to put it on many different assets to bring the world fully to life. The world was feeling more and more fun to explore, and exploration is something that's very important to me in video games. So I had to think of a non-linear way to piece all these worlds together, and that's where gems come in. The goal of each puzzle is to collect a gem and bring it back to the door you came from. Once you collect enough gems, you can unlock a big door to traverse a new world. These big doors open in increments of 5 gems, like 5, 10, 15, all the way up to 35 gems to unlock the final stage. Each world contains at least 5 puzzles, with some containing 7 or 8. This means the player doesn't have to solve every single puzzle to make it to the last stage, but they still need to collect all 50 gems to beat the game. So if one puzzle is particularly challenging, the player can always come back to it later after solving another puzzle and hopefully have new insight and solve it even quicker. Originally I had well over 50 puzzles in this game, but some of them felt a bit redundant and they didn't feel like they were adding anything new to the equation. So I made sure every puzzle introduces one and only one new mechanic, to keep the player engaged and not overwhelmed. A mechanic you learned in the previous puzzle is going to help you in the current puzzle, and a mechanic you learned in the previous world is going to help you with every puzzle in the current world. I made sure every puzzle provided a unique challenge to the player. And when I first finished the game, I was worried that the player wouldn't be challenged enough, as I completed the game in well under 2 hours. but I realized I was simply putting the blocks in the right places and moving along to solve the game. I wasn't really thinking about any of the puzzles since I already knew all the answers. And when I finally released the game on Steam last month, I watched plenty of streamers and YouTubers playing the game and found the average completion time was between 4 and 7 hours, which is much longer than I expected. Some players even took up to an hour to solve a single puzzle. I was very happy to see people sticking with the game even when it got so challenging for them. But the sense of accomplishment for beating the puzzle was everything a player needed to keep going. Releasing this game 4 years after coming up with the original prototype demo, I'm very happy that it's out there. ROTA holds a special place in my heart. The game went through so many iterations before it finally became what it is today. I'd love to discuss these puzzles further, but I feel like it would spoil too much for you, the player. So go ahead and check out ROTA on Steam now and itch.io. If you like this video, drop a like below or leave a comment, and if you'd like to see more future game development videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.